Algorators, come on in here. Welcome to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Tonight's episode is titled Bentley's Betrayal and Baby Daddies. Oh my goodness, we're going to have a fun show tonight. I got a surprise for everybody. But before we get to the surprise, let's see who's joining us tonight. Sandra McGee, welcome back. Sandra McGee, wouldn't be a show without you. Brenda Kay. Oh, I love when I see my faithfuls in here. Brenda Kay, thank you so much for joining us. Nisha Phillips, always good to see your name. Sharania, did I get that right, Sharania? Oh, no, I think I messed it up. Sharania, this is me. Tell me how to say your name. Sharona. Okay, Sharona, gotcha. All right, Sharona, like the song My Sharona. All right, Sharona, welcome. SL Warrior, always good to see your name. Leandra, welcome back, Leandra. Welcome. SL Warrior, Leandra, Sharona, Colette Davis, our real estate broker. Welcome back. Edita, good evening. Caramel 1977, wouldn't be a show without you having your eyes on us. Thank you. New York Marie, welcome back. JP Mills, Brian Simone, welcome back. I am her. Welcome. And P. Monsell Singer. Did I get that right? Please tell me how to do that. Thank you for coming. Lisa McCormick, that looks like a new name. Welcome back. Dominic Starr, welcome. Doc from North Carolina, thank you for joining us. Scholarly Talk on Live, come on in here, everybody. Christine, Regina Christian. We went to college together. Welcome. Everybody, welcome back to Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Now, tonight, the money is loud, the romance is reckless, and the court documents are doing what the internet refuses to do, and that is provide us all with some good old context. Now, an NFL divorce turns into a financial side-eye moment after a judge allegedly questions a $160,000 Bentley purchase while support is being argued. Also tonight, a former U.S. senator, what in the world? A senator gets hit with one of the messiest lawsuits that's still legal in America. It's called Alienation of Affection, and the details are what? Not so family friendly. Also tonight, we have an NFL star's paternity fight gets quietly dropped after DNA tests and a private resolution becomes something. The loudest thing is what gets handled usually is off camera. And last but not least, Skai Jackson. Oh my gosh, she's such a beautiful, I remember her from Disney. Skai Jackson's situation reminds us that the timeline loves a rumor, but the legal system loves verified records. And we're going to verify some tonight, especially when parole violations and domestic violence allegations are in the mix. Now, I need everyone to please remember, this is not criminal court. This is the court of public opinion. And here, I bring you the facts. My attorneys bring you the law, and you are the ones who decide the verdict at the end of the show. So be sure to stay tuned and drop your verdict in the chat. Court is officially in session. And joining us tonight, we have a very fun lineup. It's all male counselors tonight. Brian Ross, Jason Weiss, and Sean Carter. Welcome to Celebrity Court.
Hey there. All right.
Yeah, this is the deadest group of lawyers.
You got to give them a little grace, Your Honor. You understand that the two of them are from Miami, and their team got whooped on Monday night, so they're going to be a little sad for a while.
I agree. Well, we got a whole bunch of female cases in the court today, so I can't wait to hear the male perspective. We're going to miss Shatan Turner, but tonight is men's night only. And speaking of men's night only, let's get the docket going. First on the docket, Tyreek Hill and Keita Vaccaro, their divorce proceedings with money arguments that went from support to, ma'am, is that a Bentley? All right, now reporting around the hearing says a Florida judge has gotten extremely upset and criticized Keita's spending. Yes, her spending, specifically because she purchased a $196 Bentley while she's seeking temporary support and household coverage during the separation. Now, that sounds fishy. And hovering in the background, she has a prior domestic violence allegation. These are serious claims that complicate everything from negotiations to custody conversations. Now, for everybody's listening to all the algorithms, you got to remember, in divorce court, temporary support is meant to keep life stable. should keep life stable for her. It's not to buy luxury flexes that look like you're trying to win Instagram, and especially not this judge. This judge is not happening. All right, Brian Ross, we're going to go to you because you are located in Miami. So is Jason, but you're located in Miami where this couple is domiciled. Okay, so when we talk about temporary support is when it's ordered, how does a judge evaluate whether spending is reasonable and what is need versus lifestyle? And the reason why I ask is because we know that Tyreek himself has like 8 cars. 8 cars. He owns a McLaren, he owns a Benz, he owns a Corvette, he owns all these different cars. What is wrong with her having a Bentley?
There's nothing wrong with her having a Bentley, but it's hard for you to come to court, right? In Florida, the determination of child support, which is part of the temporary support component, is based upon a need and an ability to pay. And that's the test. Say it again. A need and an ability to pay. How can you explain that you need a $196,000 Bentley to a judge? It just doesn't add up. The math ain't mathing. You could have went out and bought a Honda, a Lexus, a Beamer, but you went and bought the most expensive car in the fleet. The fact that he already has that, it doesn't really come into play because they're taking it from his income.
Correct.
And the fact that he's already paid her $714,000, right? It's hard to come into court with your Coco Chanel bag. I'm sorry, Hermes bag, and tell the judge you're not living comfortably. And that's what that's what she's up against. It sounds like to me, Tyreek Hill's lawyer did a great job of blasting her, and I would keep blasting her because she's greedy. She's greedy.
Yep.
All right. Before we go to you, Jason, I think we have some technical issues. Brian, I can't hear you, and Jason, you're really loud. So, Jason, let's go to you really quickly. So, help me understand this though, because Tyreek makes $100 million. His contract is $100 million. I thought that the quality of life for that child had to be the same. So when you talk about support money outside, like household child-related expenses, how the child used to live compared to what the child is living now, why does it get reduced to such a small amount, Jason?
Well, right now it's only temporary. So they're going to go ahead and they're going to look at all of the factors. Again, the child is not going to say, why am I being driven around in a Corvette or a Lexus as opposed to a Bentley? So the child's not going to say that. Yes, if she didn't have a car, if she had a car that was unsafe, if she had a car without airbags or without a backup camera, yes, but you don't have to take it to the extreme. And again, it's not, the child isn't saying, well, daddy you used to drive me around in a Bentley. Why are you not driving me around in a Bentley anymore? It's supposed to keep the child in a significantly the same lifestyle. But again, it's not going to be identical saying, I used to wear Louis Vuitton and now I'm only wearing Burberry. That's not going to happen.
Gotcha. All right, Attorney Ross, Carter, help me understand with this domestic violence allegation in the background. Does that, because, every time you read about something going on with this couple, they throw that back in, especially when it relates to this custody deal. How can that influence custody? How does that influence protective orders and also settlement leverage? Is that even anything that they factor into the financial dispute?
Well, absolutely. And we talk about it all the time. The issue in this case is the best interest of the child. It's obviously never in any child's interest to be in the house with a crazy person, right? And so the issue is going to be custody, right? If one of them is more dangerous than the other, they're going to spend less time with the child. Sometimes you have custody with an order or protection where someone else has to be watching them, supervised visitation. The parent, in this case, her, if she gets less custody than she otherwise would get, she's going to get less support money. He already has his money, right? So the question is, how much of it she gets? She wants as much custody as possible. So to the extent that there are allegations that increase or decrease her fitness as a parent, it's going to increase or decrease her money every month.
Right. Okay. So let's go to some of the comments. Nisha Phillips says she did her big one on this funny looking peach. Hung around long enough to get paid. She sure did, because that they weren't together long. Rizland 11 says she misused the kids' money on non-necessary. Let's talk about this, because to me, in the sight of public opinion, without knowing the law, that you're supposed to maintain a similar lifestyle or environment for the child, you would think she's using baby money to flex her luxury desires, right? Brian, what say you?
It's I mean, she is. And like Kanye said, I ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke figures. I mean, now I ain't gonna defend my boy Tyreek, okay? I hate to break it to you. Me and Tyreek got our sports cars from the same dude. He's out of control. All right. You need to slow down, Papo. You don't get married for 2 hours and cough up $1 million a month. But at the end of the day, a judge in Florida, having been in family court, having reviewed these things, having seen baby mamas walking in court with an Hermes Birkin bag asking for money, the judge is going to examine her now closely. What she did was draw attention to her needs of her lifestyle. And she really hurt her case. I mean, she really, because now she lost, it's important, algorithm, she lost credibility. You lost, everybody knows that in family court, the women win, all right? But you just lost a lot of credibility by walking into court asking for money for child support, temporary support, and then buying a $200,000 car. The judge gonna lean back and scratch his head like, in the long-term final report, I'm not sure she's gonna need all that. And she just hurt herself.
Yeah. All right, Sean Carter, as we close out this discussion, tell me, if you were her attorney, what advice would you be giving her right now?
Get you a Honda. Understand that he already gave her $714,000 to tide her over, and she went out and spent $200,000 of that on a car. As a judge, you almost would feel irresponsible to give her any more money, right? She don't know how to act. He put her on $5,500 a month. I don't know if y'all been to Costco, but you can't really eat. She's gonna be eating pork and beans from now on. She's gonna be living in that car. Now he's paying the rent. He's paying the rent. But I mean, think about it: $5,500 a month. Ooh, it's gonna be tight.
Now that to me is crazy. But let me ask you this, Jason, because I looked at the national average. The national average to raise a 2-year-old is $24,000. So that's what, approximately $2,000 a month. What is all this other money is going for if it's just supposed to be helping that child?
So some of it could be used for paying the rent in the place, or you need a 50-bedroom house instead of a 2-bedroom house, in her sake. But you are allowed to do that, and that's for the benefit of the child. You need an extra room, you need maybe a nanny, you need whatever it is. So some of that money can go there. But again, she's not going to look good in the eyes of the court with this.
All right, counselors. All right, let me get from a scale of 1 to 10. Make it quickly, please. Be sure to make it quickly on a scale of 1 to 10. How damaging is this Bentley moment to her support argument, and what's the most likely next step? Tighter financial controls, turning it in for a Honda, reduced support, or settlement pressure? Attorney Carter, what say you?
I'm gonna give it an 8. I would give it a 10 as far as damage, but she is fine. Cute's gonna count a little bit for her. So it's going to be an 8.
Attorney Weiss.
I'm going to go with the 8, and I'm going to say that she's probably trading in that Bentley for probably a Lexus or a BMW.
All right, Attorney Carter. Brian Carter, not Brian Ross.
Brian Ross.
First of all, I got to remind the court we don't all look alike. I'm going to go with a 9, and that she really hurt her credibility. And yeah, she's fine, but you guys got to remember, she's in South Florida. She blends in. So
right. All right. Well, Colette Davis says Attorney Sean always gives credit for the women being fine. Yes, he does. He's a sucker. Y'all want him on this. All right, everybody. Let's keep that same energy, because next we leave divorce court and head into a lawsuit category so old school it sounds like a church announcement. Yes, so old school, because it's only left in 6 states that it exists. It's called Alienation of Affection. And guess who got caught up in it? A former U.S. Senator. Yes, a former U.S. Senator, Kyrsten Sinema, is being sued by Heather Amell. Now, she alleges Sinema had an affair with her then husband. Now, Sinema is the former bodyguard. Sinema's former bodyguard is Heather's husband. And she said that he alienated his affection and caused it to end their 14-year marriage. Now, the complaint includes allegations of explicit messaging and conduct during work trips. And Sinema's legal team has pushed to move the case into federal court. So Sinema, yes, is pushing it to federal court. So I'm just not understanding. I can't wait to break this down because I need to know so many things. What is the purpose of her pushing it to federal court? I want to ask that to Attorney Ross. And then the second thing is, which I did not know, was that you don't always have to have, or sex does not have to be involved in breaking up someone's marriage. I can't wait for Sean Carter to break that down. So ladies, algoriters, men, algoriters, texting, sending pictures of your body parts, all of this can be used in charges for alienation of affection. All right, so let's keep that in mind, algoriters. Alienation of affection is civil tort, is still allowed in a small number of states, including North Carolina, I think also Hawaii, Minnesota. No, I'm not sure. I'll go find the list for you. It lets a spouse sue a third party for wrongfully interfering with a marriage. All right, let's go to you really quickly, Brian Ross. Now tell me, why is the former senator pushing to move this to federal court? Wouldn't that bring more attention to it?
Well, yeah, it would bring more attention to it, but that's not what she's afraid of because she's no longer a senator anymore. I don't think she's trying to hide from it. I think she's trying to get a framework of rules that don't exist in federal court that do exist in state court. Remember, to get into federal court, you don't just get in there. If you get arrested at the airport or the post office, you can get into federal court, but you don't just automatically get in. But one thing that she does get is you have what's called diversity jurisdiction. She's in Arizona. This is in North Carolina. You have diversity in the states. So they're in two different locations. The state laws in North Carolina will favor this type of behavior. The federal court will not. So if she can remove it, that's what it's called, removal, the federal court, she can avoid a lot of the complications that may happen in North Carolina for her. So she wants to go to federal court and say, hey, look, I shouldn't be in state court, I should be in federal court. And then she'll file a motion to dismiss. And if she can win that, the case will be gone.
Got it. All right. So let's go over the cities, the states that it still exists. Hawaii, Mississippi, New Mexico, North Carolina, South Dakota, and Utah. So algoriters, if you're in any of those states, you got to beware. And Sean Carter, let's talk to them about why they have to beware. Like I said, it doesn't have to have sex involved. All right. Let's talk about, Sean Carter, how even though sex could be involved, but it includes messages, text messages, emails, pictures, sexually suggestive pictures, gifts, and travel. That's where she got caught with literally her pants down. So what becomes proof versus messy but not actionable as it relates to this, Sean Carter?
And you mentioned all the things, all right? You up in somebody's DMs, you liking their Instagram post, all that type of stuff. But understand, this is a big thing, all right? Alienation of affection requires that you were first affectionate. So, ladies, if you wasn't giving him none, then quite frankly, he can go get some more. I want to make sure that's clear. All right? Alienation of affection means that you took away the affection. But literally, that's one of the things is she can go to court and say, hey, you wasn't giving him none. You didn't have a good marriage. And therefore, there was no affection going on. I didn't take nothing from you. You fumbled, girl. Now, put the picture back up again, Bailiff, because we got to understand that Kyrsten Sinema had all that fancy stuff, and look at she always had glasses. Well, I don't know why she got glasses, because she don't got no glasses in there. Look at the other picture. Look at this fool. Really, you can't do no better than that? Really, girl? By the way, I'm telling her that I'm talking to her personally because that's my home state senator. All right. You could have slipped my DMs or something, but you out here with him, and that's why you got sued.
Wow. Okay, Attorney Weiss, let me ask you this. What does the plaintiff actually have to prove?
That there was a valid, loving relationship with affection, with all of these things, and that the other party went ahead and caused this to break down. So basically, like, hey, you're interfering with my marriage. You're guilty. We had a good, healthy marriage. We had passion. We had love. We had all of this kind of stuff. And because of you being suggestive to my spouse, now my spouse is with you. So I'm coming after you civilly for being a home wrecker.
All right. Gina Lee says, what was Sinema attracted to? I just saw a picture of Matthew. She must be overdue for an eye exam. No, you know what it is? I got to be honest with you. I got a confession. You know what it is? It's when you work with someone in such an intimate capacity every single day, there are things that you find about them that just becomes attractive. Like they smell good, or, like their lipstick is beautiful or something, and you just become fixated on it. Go ahead.
Well, that might be true, but I got to tell you, by the way, you understand their allegations. Their head of security said that he wasn't the only one. He said that she was basically Kyrsten the Great. You know, like Catherine the Great. She was sleeping with all the help, and a couple
she was for the streets.
She was doing all the king's horses and the king's men.
It's literally mind blowing too, because I think like she identified. Not that this matters. She was identified as the first openly bisexual senator, right, ever to make it into Congress. So,
I need to see some women on that list because it seemed like she was in there.
She had a few things going on.
Maybe she was trying to figure out, which way. I don't know.
Taste test. All right, get it.
Yep.
Look, I can't be mad at anybody who likes it both ways. Hey,
I'm not gonna judge you, but she just out here. She out.
All right, Colette Davis says that's true, Al. They have a nice personality, or they speak well and are intelligent. Yep, you just kind of overlook certain things. It's just like, especially, and you know this, Brian and Jason, especially for someone who's in their intimate space regularly all the time. Your driver, your assistant, your secretary, your cook, like all of those people are always there with you. So I kind of get it. Let's read some more of these comments. Brenda,
no, I don't have a driver, a secretary, or a cook. So
you got a secretary. Your wife is
all of them.
So.
All right. Brenda K says neither one of them is a prize to me. I guess he offered a lot more than looks, obviously, and the other security people too. Val Rice says she can have them for free. I think he's not that unattractive.
He was always packing. That's what it was.
Rizlet 11 says not the Bodyguard remake. Val Rice says, is that the guy she's suing over? Yep, that's him. Let's see it one more time. And
that's cold-blooded. That's cold-blooded.
She couldn't decide which way is up. And then Leandra said, Al trying to throw Jason and Brian under the bus.
Sad thing about this judge, she's not even that bad looking. Like, she's not my type.
Right.
No, she's not. I think she's attractive.
She puts it together,
Yeah, she could get it.
She is getting it. You ain't got to worry about that. You ain't
Look, I really enjoyed us, because usually the men get it on this show, especially when she talks to them. They make sure that the men get it. It's so funny to hear the women get it tonight. All right, let's go really quickly. I want everybody to understand that this is a serious thing and it can affect a lot of us. Professional proximity turning into personal liability is the lesson here to learn. And also remember, and I want you to take this away, algorithms, that you don't actually have to have sex. They look at your phone records to see how much you've texted, how many pictures you sent, how long you talk on the phone. All these things can be put into evidence. All right, attorneys, really quickly, rate the case strength. So Sinema. What is going on? Rate the case strength based on reports. Attorney Carter, what say you?
I'm going to give it, believe it or not, only a 4. I don't think it's the strongest case because the wife is going to have to prove that she was putting it on him, that they were, enjoying life beforehand, and probably not. Look at him. Probably not.
Attorney Weiss?
I'm going to go with a 5 because, again, she's going to have to prove that they had a good, healthy, affectionate relationship before this occurred.
All right, Attorney Ross, what does it have anything to do with her prior indiscretions with the entire security team? Would they bring that into? They bring that into?
I don't think it's relevant because a lot of it would be hearsay. But I think that I think there's a strong little case though. I think I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna go with an 8 on this. I think it's gonna play out. I think it's gonna ride. I think it's
All right, you heard it right here, everybody. Before we move on to the next case, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button and invite some folks over to this crazy celebrity court because it can get juicy. Also, don't forget to turn on your notification. And as always, continue to jump down in that chat because we love to hear from you. Rake Yasha Ashe says, Brian is back. Rizlan 11 says, careful, she might come into your DMs. He might like that.
Chill.
That David says, LOL, she is getting it, baby. She's getting it from all sides, and I'm here for every second of it. All right, next case is DNA deadlines and the quiet exit. Aline Lapira, an ex of NFL receiver Stefon Diggs. Yep, Stefon Diggs, welcome back to Celebrity Court, has voluntarily dropped her paternity suit and child support as of January 20th, 2026. Now, she only dropped it after a DNA test allegedly confirmed maternity, and the parties reached a private resolution to co-parent. Now, this is interesting for the algorithms. Remember, paternity tests often ends in 2 ways. One is either a court order or a private agreement once paternity is established. A voluntary dismissal typically signals we handled it and I take responsibility. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Carter, real quick. Once the DNA confirms paternity, what are the standard next steps? Do they then go into support and calculation? Do they go to a custody schedule? Do they do medical coverage? And why did she have to take it this far to sue him before he took responsibility?
You know, like you say, all the things are going to happen. You know, once we determine who the baby daddy is, once you go on Maury Povich and you don't get the good result, right? You pull out the thing and say you are the father, then we go right to all the standard things, right? Custody and money and all that. The thing that's interesting, why she probably pushes so far. Remember, she had to get him to admit it before. He was like, "Hey, you were for the streets," and eventually she was for your sheets, and therefore you now got to pay. So they're doing all the stuff.
All right, bro, Jason. Let me ask you this: if the case is dismissed, right? Okay, so the case got dismissed. Yes, after a private resolution, what usually remains enforceable? Do they memorialize it in an agreement, or is it a handshake? How do you, dismiss the case and make sure he does the right thing now?
So please don't make it a handshake. Please have something in writing, signed, notarized, witnesses in there saying, I understand what I'm signing to, with enforcement provisions, with all of these. So all you're doing basically is you've agreed in theory what you want. Memorialize it, paper it, keep a copy, and go about your life. Do not just go ahead, shake hands, because you're going to be in front of a judge, and the judge is going to be like, where's the agreement? Yeah, we have a handshake. Yeah, that's not going to work here. Mm-hmm. So that's it. And look, I still can't believe he's playing this Sunday. The NFL is letting him play. That's all I got to say.
He caught that pass that warned them, that moved him to the next level. Brian, let me ask you something really quickly. Because, do you think his relationship with Cardi B, the recent attention around that relationship, that she's bringing all this heat, is forcing him to do these types of settling stuff instead of letting it play out in the public? Because I was having lunch today with a friend of mine who's actually in the chat, and she said, what are you covering today on the show? And I was like, oh, we're going to cover Stefon Diggs. She was like, Cardi B jumped out of the frying pan into the fire. Offset got 6 kids. Stefon Diggs got 6 kids.
It's the Brady Bunch.
He's cheating on you. She basically was like, what is going on here? It's like, so do you think the fact that he is with Cardi B, that that publicity is what's forcing him to like say, okay, let me do the right thing. Let's get this out of the paper and let me settle right now.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, he's playing like over the top of his head is this huge criminal thing that you didn't bring up, right? Jason alluded to it. NFL's letting him play. You're in the playoffs. You're not in the regular season where there's 32 teams playing. The world's eyes are watching you. They're probably going to make it to the Super Bowl, right? Because the other team's quarterback's leg is broken. So they're probably going to make it to the Super Bowl. The last thing you want people talking about during this time of year is, oh, you ain't claiming a kid as yours. Why did it take you a year to get a paternity test when you can walk down to Walgreens and get it in 20 minutes?
Right.
So you're putting up all these legal fights for what? So absolutely dating Cardi B, her being pregnant, her public image, which depends on what side of the coin you're on, is a factor, and he's got to calm down. Second thing is, I'm looking at his contract right now. He signed a 3-year, $64 million contract with the Patriots, and it goes for until 2027. So he only has one more year of money, right? You got to really win the Super Bowl in big fashion and fight for an extension next season because you need the money. You got all these kids. You're about to have another one. You got Cardi B. She likes nice things. You're going to have to really find a way to bring your image up and excel ahead this season. I think that's part of the
And what about his brother? I didn't know that his brother was as successful as he was, and he lost his contract as well, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can I look into that real fast, Judge, and let you know?
The other Diggs, he got cut or released by Cowboys, right?
And going to a party. He wanted to go to a party, and they cut him from the team. All right, really quickly, attorneys, let's go really quickly to what is the strength of this particular lawsuit? What is the strength of this particular, or what's the number one issue that tends to reignite cases like this later? Attorney Carter, what say you?
It's custody and visitation. People fighting over who gets the kids for the weekends, the holidays. Most of the time, the money is set, so it's going to be those types of issues that make people want to go back to court and be mad.
Okay, Attorney Weiss?
If it were a handshake agreement, that would be the hardest part to go ahead, and they would say, hey, you don't have clean hands or you don't have whatever. But no, the hardest part is going to be just if there's something in that agreement that is not nailed down, interpretation of that clause is going to be the hardest thing, and that's going to be what Sean Carter just said: custody, visitation, or parenting rights.
Right. All right. Back last to you, Attorney Ross. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that Stefon Diggs, and I'm still in his contract. I'm sorry, Alger Raiders. He has a potential out. I'm the sports guy. He has a potential out next year, meaning that he really only has 1 year left. The New England Patriots are not going to pay him $20 million in 2027.
No,
this guy may go broke. Like, this is a really fluid situation, and we need to come back to it.
The prayers.
Like, yo, if he runs out of money, buy Cardi B. Hello, the guy's gonna be living in the YMCA. We got to come back.
She's gonna have another man just like Offset. I hear Offset's running out of money too, and she has to help him. So look. Hey, if you make the bid, you got to lie into it. All right, everybody, let's keep it going to our fourth case.
Oh, God.
I want you to take a deep breath because our last case is where rumors move faster than records and the stakes involve safety. That's right. Social media has been pushing claims that DeAndre Bergen, that's Skai Jackson's child's father, received a major prison sentence. But reporting and commentary note the key issue is that they are not verified court records and they're not consistently available to the public as of right now. Separately and importantly, Skai Jackson previously sought legal protection, don't forget, because she claims serious domestic abuse, right? She describes the allegations as abusive constantly, and she also requested a restraint order. Now, for the algorithms, here's the rule. If you have an arrest, a parole violation, a rumor, and a conviction are 4 different things, but he has been under the scrutiny of the law for the last 3 years. Now, the law doesn't run on captions, it runs on dockets, and we need to know from the lawyers, starting with Sean Carter, when the public sees parole violations, domestic violence, and obstruction, what does that legally mean? What are the common outcomes and consequences, and why don't we know what his are right now?
We don't know what his are because a couple things. One, he has current charges. So in 2025, last year, he was arrested, and they're investigating pistol whipping somebody and stealing their car, carjacking. And by the way, if you get carjacked,
but how, Attorney Carter? How the man weighs 100 pounds?
That's what I'm saying exactly. If you get carjacked by somebody that light skinned, you deserve you don't deserve a car. You deserve to walk. All right. But that said, okay, I guess if there's a pistol, it kind of evens it out. And so there'd be a couple of things. One, you literally just have missed a court meeting. You were on parole and you missed a check-in. You can go back to jail for that. Or two, sometimes more serious, you've reoffended, you've done something like the domestic violence. And so we don't know exactly what he is in trouble for, how long he's going to be, or even if he's in jail. But we do know that things don't look so good for Yerky.
Yeah, that's really sad to me because she is such an amazing actress. All right, Attorney Weiss, let me know, in domestic violence related restraining order situations, what does the court consider? Do they consider documentation, witness statements, prior incidents? And how do they decide whether the child's safety is of concern?
So you're always going to start with the safety of the child, right? So if there's domestic violence, it's already a strike or maybe two strikes against the person who's been accused and or found guilty of the domestic violence. So again, the one thing that you can always remember from family court is the well-being of the child. The domestic violence, they're going to look at, yes, they're going to get witness statements. They're going to get video. They're going to get cell phone. They're going to get DMs. They're going to get texts. They're going to get pictures of bruises. They're going to look at everything. They're going to look at a totality of the circumstance. And they're always going to err on the side of protecting that child. If there's any thought that there's domestic violence going on, the person doing the domestic violence is going to have less rights than the other person until the court finds otherwise.
Got it. All right, Attorney Ross, let me ask you this. When a child is involved, what typically triggers the family court or child welfare involvement? And if they do get involved, is that separate from his other criminal stuff, or can the domestic violence just add to all the other offenses?
Well, it's like Attorney Weiss said, all of that comes in when it comes to the child, right? When you're dealing with specifically the child, all of that comes in. I mean, especially if you have prior convictions, you might be able to, as his attorney, exclude certain inadmissible portions of the record, such as police reports. Why? Because police reports are inherently incorrect and unreliable. But when it comes to convictions, and I'm looking at some of his Hamilton, Ohio court convictions now. If you guys don't know Hamilton, Ohio, that's Cincinnati, Ohio, largely Cincinnati, Ohio. He had an arrest in 2024 for felonious assault. It was ignored, which means that it wasn't filed, which means the victim went ahead and agreed to walk away on that. All of that, though, can be looked at by the judge in the beginning. When it gets to a final point, he kind of has to narrow down the specific records. But when it comes to his background, man, how did this girl wind up with this dude?
I don't know, but New York Marie says he won't survive prison. But then Raquel, please tell me how to say your name, says he's adorable. And then
you did not say that.
Baby,
the baby, not him.
Baby is a cutie.
Look, he's going to get
Hold on, counselors. We're running out of time here. I need to get your credibility here. What do we have here, counselors? Based on what's credibly reported, what's the most likely next legal pressure point? Attorney Carter, what say you?
They're going to file a class action against Disney, because Disney has messed these girls up. Halle Bailey, all right, Britney Spears, Raven, they don't even know what she want no more. All right, I'm telling you, it's Disney's a problem here.
All right, Attorney Weiss.
It's that Disney water, like Attorney Carter said. No, chances are he's got some massive trouble, and even when he does get out, there is going to be some sort of restraining order, and he's only going to have supervised visitation, if any, with the child.
All right, really quickly, Attorney Ross, make it quick, please.
That guy is going to be buried under the jail for a while, and he gets out. He wasn't there for the birth of his kid, so he's not too concerned right now. That's
all right. Nisha Phillips says she met him in jail and bailed him out. Oh, no, let's hope not. All right, everybody. This is the part of the show where you are now entering the chat. This is the jury room where you decide who's guilty and not guilty. All right. In the chat, vote case by case, type guilty or not guilty. And where this is as it relates into the court of public opinion, meaning how you feel, how you feel decides whether or not they're guilty or not guilty. All right. We don't move on until the next hit until we get at least 3. I usually do 5, but tonight we're going to do 3 guilty votes or 3 not guilty votes. All right. Are you ready? Chat, are you ready? If you're ready, put in the chat. You are ready. All right, chat, are you ready? First case, Tyreek versus Keita. All right, the question here is Keita guilty in the public opinion of misusing support money for a luxury flex or not guilty because we know that the full financial structure and allowances allows her to do it. Is she guilty or not guilty? Leandra says she's guilty. Leandra says she's guilty. That's 1 guilty. SL Warrior says she's guilty. Regina says not guilty. SL Warrior says guilty. Reesland 11 says guilty. Val Rice says guilty. All right, we have a guilty. Keita is guilty. Guilty for spending that money on that man on luxury items. All right, Sinema's lawsuit is Sinema. Ooh, Sinema. Senator Sinema, who loves it any way she can get it. Is she guilty in public opinion of crossing professional boundaries and callers and alienation or not guilty?
Oh.
Drop down in the chat. Death God said not guilty. Brenda K says guilty. That's 1 of each. I Am Her says guilty. Nisha Phillips says guilty. Asa Stone says guilty. All right, Miss Sinema, you are guilty. You have been found guilty in celebrity court for stealing that man's woman. Stealing that woman's man. All right, next up, case number 3 is Diggs guilty in public opinion of moving messy until forced by the court. Is Stefon Diggs guilty of moving messy until being forced to take accountability? All right, Regina says guilty. Val Rice says guilty. I Am Her says guilty. Editor says guilty. Stefon Diggs, you are guilty. And Cardi B, you are guilty for messing with that man or picking bad man. All right, last case up, Skai and Bergen Rumors. Is the internet guilty of running with unverified sentencing claims or not guilty because the public concern is valid when safety exists around the woman? Is he guilty or not guilty for beating up Skai? Drop down in the chat. Is he guilty or not guilty for beating up Skai? Val Rice says guilty, very messy. All right, is Skai's baby daddy guilty? Leandra says guilty. Dominic Starr says guilty. Editor says guilty. All right. Skai Jackson's baby daddy is guilty here in the court of public opinion. Get your life together, son. That's all I can say. All right, everybody, tonight we learned something simple. In divorce court, the judge doesn't grade your lifestyle. They grade your credibility. In alienation cases, the law is literally asking who interfered, how did they do it, and can you prove it? In maternity disputes, DNA ends debate, but co-parenting takes maturity. And in the rumor culture, the timeline will always be louder than the truth until the receipts show up. In real court, innocent until proven guilty. But in this court, baby, your choice as the jury speaks so loud, the culture hears it first. I'm Judge Al Reynolds, and this is Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop the next case you want on my docket. Court is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for watching.